Good morning, everyone. It's October 22nd, 2019. Excuse me, a little burp there. Fucking coffee. Alright, so yesterday, I ended up trying to make more videos, but I kept fucking up, so I just stopped and didn't upload anything. Part of it was on what I have pulled up already. Part of it was not. Paul Craig Roberts, oligarchs will crash the system to boot Trump. Now, if those of you who've been with me for, a while, you would know that it was my, I hate to say theory, it was my idea that Donald Trump was a Trojan horse to be selected as the fall guy for an economic collapse, and instead of only Trump being blamed for the economic collapse, it would be conservatives in general. And Dr. Roberts here has a different take on that, and I'm going to still have to stick with my original idea, and we're going to get into this, and, well, you're going to see where this is going here in a moment. Alright. So again, Dr. Roberts, oligarchs will crash the system to boot Trump. Economic expert and award-winning journalist Dr. Paul Craig Roberts predicts that the oligarchs of the New World Order, and again, this is something else I differ with all the others on, this new notion of the New World Order. It's one world order. That's what they are going for, not the New World Order. America is the New World Order. Okay, I shouldn't have stopped there, and I did. Economic expert and award-winning journalist Dr. Paul Craig Roberts predicts that the oligarchs of the New World Order will do anything to boot President Trump out of office. Now, again, it was my idea that Trump was selected, and I mean selected, not elected, to be the fall guy for an economic collapse. You might recall that Donald Trump was condemning the Federal Reserve for their lack of interest rates. And when the Federal Reserve began to raise these interest rates by just a quarter of a point, Donald Trump began to freak out and demanded that they, after a while anyway, that they lower those rates back down. So, and he knows damn well that this is one of the conditions needed for an economic collapse. Dr. Roberts, who has a PhD in economics and is a former assistant treasury in the Reagan administration, predicts the NWO will take down the financial system as a last resort if all else fails. Dr. Roberts explains, now, if they can't get Trump out, they will crash it. Okay, in quotes, quote from Dr. Roberts, there will be a big crash before the election, and people will blame Trump. You see, it's my notion that Trump fully knows that this is his role. Fully knows. Okay? That's about how smart Americans are. Now, there is one constraint for the Fed doing that, because the Fed is a tool of the New York banks. If they crash the economy, they're going to crash those New York banks. That's the only restraint on the elites. That's their ultimate nuke. If they can't get him out, they will say, okay, we are going to bring down the economy, and too bad for the New York banks, or they will find some special way to bail them out while everything else goes. The pension funds, the hedge funds, the mutual funds, they will wipe out us. You see, they will wipe us out in order to get rid of Trump. Now, again, it's been my notion that Donald Trump fully knows that this is his role, and which is why I called him Trojan Horse Trump. Dr. Roberts says, forget about the left-right paradigm, Democrat and Republic. Dr. Roberts explains this isn't a Democrat versus Republican thing. Again, there's no real parties. They are the different wings of the same exact bird. In quotes again, this is the elite, the establishment, the oligarchs, and the people who rule the country. They are defending their power. Trump was elected by the people, which again I disagree with. Why is it when an individual like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or even the Bushes, why is it when these individuals are put or selected as president, they say presidents aren't elected, they're selected. But when this individual, Donald Trump, was put there, was selected, they say he was elected by the people. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If one president is selected, they're all selected. And by the way, they are all of them, each and every president we've had, they're all related to the same royalty. Just, if they're not selected, how does that happen? How does that happen? If these individuals are not selected as president? Remember, Hillary called people who voted for Trump deplorables. So the people who go against the elite candidate are deplorable. The voters are deplorable. That's what this is about. They have to get him out for that reason. They also know if they get him out for that reason, every other person that would step forward and actually try to leave the country rather than serve the ruling class, that person will know that he hasn't a chance. Dr. Roberts points out, where is William Barr? And quotes once again, we already know Russiagate, the Steele dossier, the deception of the FISA court. We all know of these were felonies. All of these were felonies. Indeed, I consider it treason, and there is nothing. There is no action. And by the way, no action on Trump's part either. If the American people fall for this, they will go down in history as the most utterly stupid people who have ever walked the earth, and they will deserve the consequences. It will be the end of America. And I contend that the American people, for the most part, the majority, okay? I'm not talking about those who are truly awake. The American people will go down in history as the most utterly stupid people who have ever walked the earth. That's a done deal, okay? Done. And one of the side effects they know will happen as a result of their actions, Trump included, his actions, and being the fall guy knowingly will be civil unrest. This is coming from Michael Schneider via the End of the American Dream blog. And like George Carlins said, if you believe the American dream, you have to be sleeping. There is no American dream. But is the Trump theater going to lead to the same civil unrest in America that's going on across the planet? It could be. It could be one of the side effects. In fact, I would expect this to be a side effect. Again, Trump is aware of his role as the fall guy for the one world order. But all over the globe, the mood is turning sour. Anger and frustration are bubbling over, and protests are becoming violent in major cities all across the planet. In some cases, economic pain is driving the protest, and in other cases, political matters are motivating the protesters. And it has been a very long time since we have seen so many angry protests happening all over the world simultaneously. Now let me stop right there for a moment. The economic pain is a result of these political matters that they say, or that Michael Schneider says, is one of the motivating factors in these protests. And what it really does boil down to at the end of the day is these political matters. The economic pain is a result of these political matters, among other things. Unfortunately, many believe that what we have seen so far is just the beginning. And I say, fortunately. Global economic conditions are rapidly deteriorating, and as economic pain intensifies, that is going to make everyone more frustrated. And we are about to bear witness to some serious economic pain as a result of decisions made by corrupt politicians. And here in the United States, the drama surrounding the potential impeachment of Donald Trump is going to greatly escalate the political tensions that are already deeply dividing this country. And again, Donald Trump is aware of his role. No matter how things turn out, a large percentage of the population is likely to be deeply frustrated with the results, and that could very easily lead to tremendous civil unrest. But before we get to Trump, let's take a look at what has been going on around the rest of the world first. In Chile, we are witnessing violent protests unlike anything that we've seen in decades. And that's true. Meanwhile, political corruption appears to be the main motivation for the violent protests in Lebanon. In the UK, the drama surrounding the Brexit saga drew hundreds of thousands of people into the streets of London this weekend. Over in Spain, violent protests have erupted night after night in the aftermath of the arrest of 9 key pro-independence leaders in Catalonia. Of course, the protests that have made the biggest splash on the global stage have been the relentless pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. While I do like their tactics, I do enjoy their spirit there in Hong Kong, they are fighting for the wrong thing. Democracy is a management system for slaves. Here in the United States, we don't have protests like this going on right now, but we could very soon. The impeachment process is bringing a focal point to the deep anger that has been building on both sides of the political spectrum for many years. Now that this process has begun, there is no going back, and both sides believe that there is only one result that will bring justice. For the left, any result that does not remove Donald Trump from office will be a bitter disappointment. The Democrats should have never gone down this road because, one way or another, this process is going to tear us apart. So, what's going on on the political stage here in the United States going to lead to the very same unrest that the rest of the world is experiencing? And those are not the only places with these protests going on, by the way. There are many, many other places. And will this unrest lead to mass gun confiscation? Beto's mass gun confiscation was tried in 2005, and here's proof authorities cannot be trusted. And I'm guessing here that this individual is probably a Republican or Trump supporter. Does not that label authorities, does that not include the people on the right? I don't think any of them can be trusted. As a matter of fact, I know they can't be trusted. Fascist, leftist gun grabber and contender for the Democratic presidential nomination, Beto O'Rourke, wants armed police to kick down doors to enforce his national gun confiscation laws against law-abiding citizens who, by the way, are complete dupes for being law-abiding. And why do I say that? Because, I'll tell you why. It's because these individuals, these law-abiding citizens, are obeying laws written by people who have openly called the people in this country the enemy. But Beto, he would begin with weapons of war. But we all know that it wouldn't end there. Does this sound just like more liberal campaign hyperbole? Does it? It has happened in our nation, before in our nation, just a bit over a decade ago. You may remember that. You may remember it as the Hurricane Katrina gun confiscation operation, where law enforcement officers from the City of New Orleans Parish Sheriff's Department, State of Louisiana Police, U.S. Coast Guard, National Guard troops, U.S. Marshals, and cops from as far away as California swarmed in and illegally disarmed and detained citizens. You remember that? And again, it is the people you, the public, calls heroes doing this. You know, like the Sheriff's Department. Right here. Sheriff's Department. State Police. Right here. The Coast Guard. National Guard, U.S. Marshals, and cops from all over the country. You know, your heroes. Take a few minutes to listen to Americans tell their story of police abuse and authority, gun confiscation, and violence. And it will piss you off. Would you like to listen? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you, but, it went, to YouTube.
No one will be able to be on. We'll take all weapons.
It was a human drama with emotions and tensions running high. Patty Connie is still trying to recover physically and emotionally.
They really did a number on me.
From the day police forced her from her home.
It was traumatic. All of a sudden, they were banging on the front door, the side door, and the back door. They said, let us in.
Patty tried to explain. She was on dry land, she had plenty of food and water, and didn't want to abandon her dogs. But it didn't matter.
If you see 6 or 8 police that look like linebackers pushing you in a corner, you're in shock. I'm saying, look at all my food. I got plenty of food. They kept pushing me back, and ended up like this.
Then, Patty showed him a small revolver she was carefully holding in the palm of her hand. A camera crew was there to capture what unfolded next.
I said, it's not even loaded. And I dropped it on the floor.
Okay, so you know you have to be a bunch of yellow belly faggots to tackle an old lady like that. And you're... What was it? I know what happened here. It went from the article to here. And that's a fucking Bert. What was it? Oh, right. Sheriff's Department, State of Louisiana Police, U.S. Coast Guard, National Guard troops, U.S. Marshals, and cops from as far away as California swarmed in. So all these all these individuals from these individual departments are all a bunch of weak, yellow belly faggots, because they go around and they victimize the weakest among us. So will this civil unrest here that's coming to America lead to mass gun confiscation? Probably. Or at least attempted. Hopefully, the people of the United States are as yellow-bellied as those individuals who were victimized in Louisiana. They should not have tolerated being disarmed by these various law enforcement and military organizations. They should have fought back. And if you're not into guns and violence, there are other ways for you to fight back. Take this, for example. Ransomware cripples U.S. emergency services, local governments. Now, can you imagine if, one of these ransomwares was spread far and wide among the computer systems of the various police departments, sheriff's departments, and other departments, and they were unable to function? Can you imagine if this was widespread? I think it would be a very, very effective tactic against the police state. So we do have reason to believe that these people will end up attacking us in a very, very violent manner. And one of the most simple, nonviolent solutions is ripping their computer systems from beneath them. Anyway, thought I would share this stuff with you. And again, Donald Trump is a plant. He's a plant to take the rap for economic collapse, whereby everyone who is conservative or a Trump supporter will be blamed. As I said before Donald Trump was ever selected to be our fearless president. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you think I'm insane? Do you think I'm full of shit? Tell me what you think. And before we go, I'd like to point out one more thing to you. There's been an unprecedented movement detected on California earthquake fault capable of a 8 on the Richter scale trembler. And I'm only going to hit the first two paragraphs, or maybe three. A major California fault capable of producing a magnitude earthquake has begun moving for the first time on record. A result of this year's Ridgecrest earthquake sequence destabilizing nearby faults, Caltech scientists say in a new study released in the journal Science on Thursday. In the modern historical record, the 160-mile-long Garlock Fault on the northern edge of Mojave Desert, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, has never been observed to produce either a strong earthquake or even to creep. But new satellite radar images now show that the fault has started to move, causing a bulging of the land that can be viewed from space. Now, if it's always been my contention as well that if it's not the economic or an economic collapse that kicks things off, it could be that a major national disaster bleed the country dry to cause said economic collapse, which would again lead to the same things. So you have some things to think about. When they come asking for or demanding your gold, are you going to just give it over? When they come demanding your food, are you going to just give it over? When they come for your guns, and they will, are you going to be like the suckers in Louisiana and just hand them over? You have some things to think about, people. I hope everyone has a great, Tuesday, and till next time, kill the state, live free.